business. And when you reduce risk in the business for someone else who's going to buy into the business, you're increasing the multipliers. So it's really important from a due diligence perspective, if you are going to sell your business, that you're documenting your procedures and processes and then putting those into practice so that you have some evidence that the company is following those processes and adopting them.
Are you a scaling SaaS founder? Ready to make the leap from leading a team to leading an organization? Join us each week as we refill your think tank with actionable tips and strategies from great business minds you know and those you don't know yet. This is SaaS Fuel with your host, 5-time entrepreneur, SaaS founder, and globetrotting adventurer, Jeff Maines.
Welcome back to the SaaS Fuel podcast, where technology at Thanksgiving means explaining to grandma that the TV remote won't reply to her texts. I'm your host, Jeff Maines. I help B2B SaaS founders like you grow from traction to scale. Here, growth is more than just numbers. It's about crafting a future-proof company, premium valuation, and leaders who build a business of significance while living epic, adventurous lives. Well, happy Thanksgiving week, everybody. The turkey isn't the only thing getting carved up this week. You should see my calendar. Today, we're slicing through the messy world of business processes. And let's be honest, documenting processes doesn't exactly scream excitement. It's more like the dry toast of the business buffet. But here's the thing, without it, your company is one bad day away from a full-on food fight. This week, we're talking about what it really takes to build a business, not with silver spoons and shortcuts, no duct tape and chicken wire here, but how about some good old-fashioned grit, determination, and some process documentation that won't bore your team into a coma? We'll uncover how turning chaos into structure is the secret to scaling and why winging it only works for turkeys. Here's something to chew on. What if the key to growing your business isn't just hard work, but creating a playbook so everyone knows exactly how to win? So stick around. This episode is serving up plenty of food for thought, minus the cranberry sauce. Our expert guest last Thursday was Michael Litticoat, a former teacher turned SaaS entrepreneur. He shared an incredible journey from the classroom to scaling tech businesses. We discussed everything from leveraging data for client success to using customer feedback for continuous improvement. If you're curious about transforming friction into growth and taking your business to the next level, this episode is packed with actionable insights. And then last Tuesday, our founder was Alex Quilici, CEO of Umail. We dove into how his team is transforming telecom security with cutting-edge AI to tackle robocalls. We explored Umail's pivot to a B2B model, their commitment to data privacy, and the advanced tech behind scam detection. Very, very cool stuff. If you want to learn how B2C product can lead to a B2B rocket ride, along with the future of voice tech, this episode is a must listen. My guest today is Jacqui Jones, founder and CEO of Way We Do, a business process management platform designed to help organizations create, train, and improve their processes for lasting success. With deep expertise in SaaS development and change management, Jacqui is here to share invaluable insights on how businesses can streamline operations, adopt AI, and stay customer-focused to thrive even in a super competitive market. Welcome someone creating solutions to solve one of the biggest challenges in business, Jacqui Jones. Hey, Jacqui, welcome to SaaS Fuel.
Hi, Jeff. Good to see you again.
You as well. Really excited about our conversation. Way We Do. Great product. And love to hear a little bit about background and how you started the company.
Yes. Okay. The company itself, so Way We Do, it's a platform for business process management and process adoption and process and governance, and it helps companies to ensure that they don't miss anything in their processes. And the reason why we started the company is because we had our own problem where we had started a new company, which was a digital marketing agency / software company, and we were onboarding our own employees and needed to train them and get them up to speed in their roles. And we were looking for a solution on the market to document procedures and process, and we couldn't really find something that was suitable that really met our needs. And because we were and are still are software developers, we decided, well, how about we solve that problem, and that we create a solution to solve our problem, and then later realize that many of our friends had exactly the same problem, and then later other people around the world had the same problem when running their businesses. My background, I've been in the internet industry since the mid 90s, and so right at the very beginning of the World
Yes.
Wide Web. And so I started in film and TV to begin with, and then uh, I worked for a multimedia company, and then we switched to being an internet based company. Yeah, so that's a little bit
Right.
about my background.
Well, I love the origin story because you're doing one business and it's going well and you're hiring people and you find this need and so you create a product to solve the problem, and then
Mhm.
ultimately that becomes the flagship product. I mean, that becomes the new company. At what point did you know that you really had something there and there was a big opportunity in the market?
Uh, Great question. When we started the first company, which was called Keyword Intent, and that's still the name of our company today. We're just trading as Way We Do.
Sure.
Our intention was to be a software business, and the first software we developed at that time was an SEO platform, and we soon became a services agency because our customers were asking for support and those particular services. And in those early days, you tend to say yes to everything, which when really you should say no.
Sure.
and and after a few years, we decided that that's not the business that we wanted to be in, that we wanted to be a software business. And so we were looking for a solution. And it was just happened to be at the same time that we were onboarding our own employees and growing that original business. And then we saw when we decided to create a minimal viable product to begin with, and actually we launched it in February of 2013, and there was crickets. There were, like, no one signed up, and it was a little bit disheartening. And we created this amazing website which all of our designer friends loved, and however, it wasn't producing results. And so by May of that year, we decided to redesign the marketing website and creating more a traditional type of website, which then produced signups to the web app Way We Do at that point in time. And then during that first year, we had people just finding us. We did a little bit of SEO, we did a little bit of pay-per-click advertising just to test the waters. I was going out knocking on doors and speaking with customers just to get their feedback on this product. And at that time, customers were saying, we've been looking for a product just like this over the last few years. And so I think it was at that time that we thought, okay, we've got something here. We took everyone's feedback, and then a year later, we decided to design it from the ground up. So we started again, threw it out, started again, and then built it up again. So that's so it was pretty soon. So within a year, we knew that we definitely had a business, and that customers were definitely signing up and giving us great feedback.
That's really good. I always looked at to hear the origin story like that because it's very different than people may look at Way We Do and go, wow, this is an amazing company, and it is, and it's like overnight success. But there was a whole lot of work that happened behind that to get you to where you are today.
Yes, absolutely, and it's 11 years now. So within a few years, when we started Way We Do, we transitioned from the other business, which was producing revenue, and within about 2 to 3 years, Way We Do became our primary business. And it's not an overnight success. There's a lot of hard work and tears
Yes.
involved, and you do feel like you're on the roller coaster. So one moment you think, "Oh, this is the best business ever! It's amazing," and you can see the vision, and we're going to do some amazing things here. And the next thing you're at, low of lows, going, "Oh, no one's signing up," and
Yeah.
uh, but you have to be resilient and have perseverance and keep going. And and even when times are tough, just know that you're doing the right thing, and kind of push emotion to the side so that that you can keep going,
Yeah.
and then just keep your eye on the goal of what you want to achieve.
Well, it is definitely a product that every single company needs, and it's for some it's really natural. I know you're really good at processes, and it's an absolute weakness for me. And so I really need a tool like this, where you use a tool like this, and you're like, "This is awesome." I look at it, and I use it because that's the only way anything ever gets documented or done.
That's right. And I think I mean, some people love processes. They love creating policies, procedures, and processes because they're taking everything from their brain and putting it down, onto paper, so to speak. And but for others, they hate it. If they could just run the business via just text messages and email, that they would do it.
Yes,
and but they know that it's a necessary evil,
it
and
is.
and so for way we do, we've wanted to make it fun, and also create a product that was pleasing on the eye, easy to use, so it wasn't as much of a burden. And particularly today, we now have AI capabilities, so you can generate policies, procedures, and processes quite easily, and particularly for those people that are not writers, because a lot of people don't like writing, and so way we do helps you to easily generate those documents quite easily.
I think that is amazing because it's, I've started using, way we do and other tools like this and, before AI. And so you start and there are definitely templates and that's super, super helpful. But sometimes there wasn't a template. And so you start and like, okay, what is this process? What is it we do? What should we be doing? And trying to figure out how to document it. So, really appreciate one, the templates and
Mm.
the number of them. But then adding AI in there is just such a great idea because it's so much easier to look at something and edit and kind of understand, what is our process and what should it be or what are some things that I haven't thought about instead of just starting from scratch and trying to guess.
Absolutely, and I think that there's two sides to that. So one is maybe you have a process that you have never have implemented before in your business. So you want some ideas of, well, how should I consider this process, and what are the steps involved, and then how do I train the team on this process, and what should we adopt within our business? And then you have other processes where it's an established process in the organization, and an AI does not necessarily know your process.
Yes.
So you're documenting simply steps of the process, listing a few ideas or bullet points about the procedure, and then you can use that information to then generate the process that's particular to your organization. So I think the combination of those two things together, where is prompting ideas, and then you've got your own knowledge and your own way of doing things, and that's where the magic is, I think. So you're not just taking what everyone else is doing, you have to bring your own magic to
Yeah.
the way that you do things in your business, because that creates your IP for your business, and that has value. So, so it's good to use a combination of both
Yes.
ways of creating processes.
Yeah. I like the way you put that. It's the way we do has value in the business. And so, yeah,
Absolutely.
it's having the process. I think that can be a really big mistake is just to either take a template or ask AI, what should my process be? Take it and cut and paste, and that becomes the process, which is just you lose so much. I mean, one originality and the company, your own flavor, but just that the process itself that may or may not even fit your company at the current size or the current business.
Absolutely. And I think creating procedures and processes is just the starting point. The next step is process adoption. So if your team are not
Yeah.
implementing and following that process, and you're not prepared from a management perspective to commit to that process, why would you even have it in the first place? So you need something that's tailored to your business, your way of working. It doesn't have to be like a bureaucratic process. You can make it really nimble and quick, but it's still great to document your processes. So, as you said before, that generates value in the business, and particularly when you're proving that the company is implementing and doing the things that your process states that it's doing. And the reason why I say that is it helps to increase the valuation of your business in terms of reducing risk in the business. And when you reduce risk in the business for someone else who's going to buy into the business, you're increasing the multipliers. So it's really important from a due diligence perspective, if you are going to sell your business, that you're documenting your procedures and processes and then putting those into practice so that you have some evidence that the company is following those processes and adopting them. But apart from that, so many businesses are not at that stage yet. So it's really important that the team are adopting. So you then would teach and train the team on those processes, and then there's a phrase called "inspect what you expect." So you're reviewing what the team are doing. Are we implementing everything according to this process? Is it efficient? Are there any bottlenecks? Do I need to make improvements and changes? And then you get the team involved with that journey as well.
That's really, really smart. And I definitely have made both of those mistakes before. One, not documenting processes, because it's really easy just to make that urban legend, and stories are passed on from one person to another over the years. And then the other mistake was processes were something supposed to do. So I brought somebody in and created great processes, and then we had a bunch of documentation that nobody ever paid attention to. There was zero adoption.
Yes, and so those documents are worth nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
because the team are not using them, and
Right.
and there's two aspects to that. The reason why that a process may fail, even though it may be a great process, is that the company has not implemented or gone through a process of change management. So I believe change management is a skill that business owners and business leaders need to learn, and typically they don't have that as a skill. So they are producing procedures and processes, and then making that available to the team to just to adopt on their own, and without the support that's needed from that management team. I think if teams think that the management team do not care, or if it's not necessary, then people won't do it. They won't necessarily take it on their own to implement a process if it's not absolutely necessary. So it's really, really critical that a business owner or a business leader, they've create those change or develop those change management skills. And if they don't have the ability to do that, bring someone else in, bring in a consultant or a trainer who can then help support the team with that new process. I think it's also about conversation. So when you implement a new process, it's very easy to go back to the old ways of doing things. So we need to be talking about it on an ongoing basis within the team. So the weekly team meeting, or one-to-ones, and just reinforcing the messaging around that new process until it becomes second nature. So it becomes a habit within the organization and becomes part of your cadence.
That's such good advice, and I think probably something that is missed a lot, just by leaders, in that they bring in processes, or they say here's going to be the new process, and you just hand it off, and then there isn't that follow up. They don't close the loop. That change management piece never happens, and so the process doesn't really change, because it's so easy for us to go back and just do what's familiar, do what's comfortable.
That's right, and it's the same with adopting software as well. So we've on one side we have software, and then we have the process, so the way of doing things. And so many people don't like software. Like, I'm in the software business, you're in the software business, and many people, like everyday people, don't necessarily like software. So if they could have a world without software, they would. They would. But it's a software platform is, particularly with the likes of Way We Do, is a communication tool, and it's there to help people to follow steps of not only follow the steps of the process, but also to communicate what they have completed, and if there are any issues, and so forth, just to document and communicate what's happened throughout that process. So we need to be supporting our team. There's going to be probably a third that love it. They'll just jump on and start doing all the activities. There's a third, like another third, that's a little bit hesitant, and they'll see if the early adopters of that process are, how are they progressing, and if everything's going well, then they'll follow them. And then there's a third that are the detractors, and they will grumble, they would make noises about this process. And it's from a business manager perspective, you're thinking, well, do people actually like this process? And sometimes the detractors speak the loudest. And so it's very easy to listen to those people. And what I have found from my experience is, even though there are detractors, over a period of time, they actually start to adopt that process themselves and start learning the software themselves. And within 3 to 6 months, they're really on board. They're familiarized with it. And then if you try to change again, then they're going to grumble at that point. So I think
they're detractors again.
Yeah, exactly. So I think as a manager, just understanding the nature of people and how they embrace change within the organization, that some people love it, other people hate it, and you need to take people on a journey and support them.
Well, automation is something that I think most companies want to do, and we hear a lot about process automation. But what are some critical first steps companies should take before introducing automation to make sure that they have their processes well defined, they're clear, and maybe avoid some pitfalls down the road of automating the wrong things?
Great question, Jeff. So, I mean, the world of AI, everyone's jumping on board, and again, it's the early adopters that are jumping in and experimenting with new ways of automating processes using those types of tools. I think that the first place where you first should start is actually documenting the process. So step by step, what those activities are, and what is the flow of the process? Who should be doing those steps? Is it a particular role or person within the organization? Is it an AI, or should it be done programmatically? So I think even in today's world of AI, sometimes just doing programmatic automation is just as fast, probably more stable than AI at this point in time. But I think it's important to prepare all of your procedures, because eventually your AI agents and assistants will be using that procedural information and instructions to then carry out those activities. So just like with your team, that you're documenting procedure and process for them to follow, you're doing exactly the same thing for the AI, and for you to get back consistent, reliable results from that automation, you need to be very clear about what the task is and what the outcome that you're expecting.
That is really fascinating to think about. That it's not only documenting for real employees, but eventually that your AI team of employees will be executing some of those processes, and so building them where they are that clear.
Yes, absolutely, and I think I'm just thinking about it from a way we do perspective. So you have a primary process, and maybe step number 3 is what I call a sub process, where you're documenting a process and the procedures instructions for the AI or for the automation to take place. And once that's completed, then sends information back to say, yes, this step of the process is complete. And then, of course, you would then have a human to then, if it's mission critical, you need a person to confirm that those results were actually produced in the way that you intended, so that you're getting you have another level of oversight as to, like, are we producing good quality? Are we meeting our objectives with what was actually automated and generated? There could be some very low value tasks where you don't need as much human oversight, but definitely the mission critical processes you would need to ensure that a human is actually checking the work, and you're not becoming too over reliant on automation to implement activities when it may not be producing what you want it to do.
That makes a lot of sense. So AI with oversight.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of the sub-processes. And so just, I mean, very, very simple example of that may be, if you have a sales process and you have a workflow that you go through and you hit a certain stage and the system, your CRM sends out an automated email. So, that could be something, and maybe you have AI that personalizes it somehow. I mean, but that's the kind of thing, a sub process that executes and comes back and then updates the CRM. This is done, and then you have the next call scheduled or whatever the next steps are in your sales process.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know that there are tools, for example, where you can have an AI doing outreach. So it's generating list from a sales perspective, generating a target of list of customers or prospects that you want to reach out to. And then you would have the AI then emailing those people. And then when there's a response that comes from the prospect, then the AI is responding back. And on one side, you think, great, I get all these efficiencies. But if it's not communicating your key messages and the values of your business, you could actually be doing more damage than what you're, wanting. So it's really important that if you are implementing a process like that, then you need to, on a regular basis, inspect that is actually producing the types of conversations that you want it to. Otherwise, it can cause issues. And that could mean either then you're tweaking the AI to then know more about your brand values and key messaging and teaching it to communicate in a way that you want it to, or you're introducing, people into the process as well.
So inspect what you expect. That is absolutely brilliant.
Cool. Yeah, and I think because what I've seen in some organizations when management teams don't do that, they think, oh, everything's great. And I know that there's different styles of leadership. And there are some leaders that go, okay, I just trust the team. They're just going to get on and do it. And I think for that to work, you need brilliant people. You need to pay them really well. That they need to be A graders. And but not everyone has the budget to hire people that are in that league. And so therefore you're creating procedure and process for everyday people and for the teams to communicate together how they wish to work together, and you're not creating a team of lone wolves just going off doing their own thing. So inspect what you expect is, just ensuring that you've got the communication going, that managers are just having those conversations and understanding and inspecting the work that has been generated to ensure that it's at the standard that you want it to be.
Ready to future-proof your company and scale to new heights? Dive into the ultimate resource designed for SaaS founders and C-suite executives. Champion Leadership Group gives you an unfair advantage in scaling up revenue and outwitting competitors. Imagine solving your biggest scaling headaches and hitting 5, 10, 20 million ARR and beyond with ease. We take away the guesswork and the grunt work and replace it with framework by supporting you with our on-demand fractional C-suite team, a powerful operating system built into software, and a thriving community of scaling founders. That's how we make it happen. If you're stuck at your current revenue level, this is your ticket out. Feel like your company is the world's best kept secret? We amplify your success. And hey, if you're already crushing it but too busy to breathe, we got your back. We'll free up 20% of your time in the first month. Now is the time to upgrade from traction to scale. If you're ready to work smarter and not just grind harder, schedule a 10-minute growth brainstorm. It's free, not a sales call, and we will pinpoint the number one thing blocking revenue. For more, visit championleadership.com. That's where leaders evolve and companies transform. So in the context of business process management, what do you think are the most common mistakes companies make when attempting to scale without a solid foundation of process?
I think many organizations actually don't do process management. So they may start using tools which are ad hoc task management tools. So they're just listing, these are the tasks that need to be done, but they're not necessarily thinking about, well, if I do it in these steps in a particular order, then maybe we're going to make it more efficient. If we outsource this step right here to the client, maybe we're going to reduce cost in our process to make it more efficient. So there's different ways to think about a process rather than just listing like a list of tasks to be implemented. So I think process management is a smarter way to manage your processes rather than implementing just task management.
That's really good because I think especially early stage, that happens a lot. You just have the task list and here's a bunch of stuff that needs to be done and maybe it's checked off. And then that maybe even they're repetitive tasks. But there's nothing behind that. It's just we go do the thing. And so then they do the thing and then they hire somebody else and they say go do the thing, but nobody knows what that really means.
That's right, and that thing can mean different things to different
Yes.
people, and it's interesting. I know that there are some. I think there's a book is called "Is it Who, Not How?"
Yes.
um, and on one side, I think, oh, I would love that. I would love to have a business where I don't need to worry about how people are
Yeah.
doing their work. The reality is that if you want to create a brand experience and a consistent customer journey and experience, for the people that you're working with and you're selling to, then you need processes. You need to define what how is, because how is where um, you're understanding the efficiencies of how something is being implemented, and one person may take 2 or 3 times longer than someone else,
Yeah.
and wages are typically one of the highest expenses in a business. So
Yes.
you want, I mean, for me at least, I want to know, like, how is this work being implemented? So are we creating bottlenecks? Are we taking longer than what we should? Is what is being produced, like, how does that work and blend with other work that the team are doing? Are we creating a consistent experience for our customers? So there's a lot to think about in terms of how. And then and I was also thinking because I started reading that book and I got halfway through, I was like, oh, I started to get a bit flustered because I was thinking, well, if that person leaves and you have a new person come in, then they're going to do their way of doing the how bit,
Right.
and then that will then create a change and create like a different experience for your clients and your customers. And so and they may not like that, and then you think, oh, I want the old person back. So it shouldn't, a business should not really, I mean, business is about people, but the
Yeah.
business itself needs to understand what are the roles and what are the functions of those roles, and how do we implement work in a consistent, repeatable manner.
And that's so important. And I think maybe a better title, and I certainly get the premise of the book, but I think in reality, it's who and how. So
Yes.
it is finding the right person in that role. And so that's kind of the main point was, who can we get to do this, for us? And whether that's a hire or a consultant, whatever it is, but then there has to be that how. Otherwise, it's not scalable. It doesn't reproduce. And so it's both of those in the real world.
That's right, and I think there's 4 elements there. Is It's who, what, how, and when. So
Mm,
when is about producing the cadences, within the business, and that's like so those monthly, daily, weekly, quarterly rhythms are really important to a business, because like our revenue, the way we report upon revenues, our taxation, like everything is based around the cadences and those rhythms. And so, therefore, the work that we implement and at the end generating revenue, are we, doing activities in the right order and at the right times to ensure that we're producing the best results for the business?
yeah, that's really, really good. I like that you've really kind of brought that full circle, and it's all four of those elements working together. It's not
Mm,
any one in isolation.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and growing the way we do, what have been some of the challenges? 11 years, you've grown through some, significant economic changes and political
Yes.
changes and SaaS world changes from growth at all costs to capital efficient growth. What have been some of the challenges?
I think we experience the same type of challenges that most businesses experience. One is finding the right people for the team with the right skills. So, and I think like people should not settle. So when you go through the recruitment process, that you're finding people that are right, for the role and right for the team. And times where it's like, oh, we need someone right now. I need to get them on board, and you make a decision because you're taking the best of the bunch. Like that's not a good strategy. So you really need to. There's a phrase that says hire slowly, fire fast.
Yes.
And so you need to bring on the right people in the organization, because when you bring on people that are not great for the team, then they're going to create more issues for everyone else and for yourself. And then you've got this wasted opportunity or this time that you could have been using in other ways. So I think finding the right fit, and it's not just about skills, it's about their behavioral profile. So if you look at it like a DISC profile, for example, like do you have the right type of behaviors within the team, and the right the values as well. So I think that's really important.
Yes.
So I think that's been one of our challenges. I think another challenge for us is we've never raised funding or capital, and we have been through two funding rounds previously, and we weren't successful. And part of that could have been the way that I was pitching, so maybe I didn't communicate well enough the opportunity with way we do. But I think partly because our company's based in Australia, so we don't have the same access to capital that the US has,
Sure.
for example. And then the other little thing is women founders don't. And I'm not going to say this is the reason, but I have been given some feedback from some people in that space saying that female founders, get about 2 to 3% of VC money. So that's the reality for female founders, and but you just do what you can, and you just move on, and you got to just generate revenue through signing customers. Yes, you're running a little bit more slowly than what you want to, but you keep moving. So and that's okay.
Absolutely. And some people would say that the perception of not being funded is not as serious a company as a company that has raised a bunch of money, and I think that's ridiculous.
Oh,
Just
absolutely. I
because a
haven't heard
company,
that before.
yeah, just because a company raises money doesn't mean that they're any more serious or any better, any better investment. There's tons of companies that have raised money that aren't here. 11-year
Yes.
track record, that is exceptional.
Yes.
And
And I
it's
think,
a great company, great product, and I think
thank
that's
you.
interesting that that was the experience in raising.
Yes, yeah. And I think a lot of funding that has been given, VC money that has been given to companies in recent years, or over the last 10 years, most of that money is spent on sales and marketing. So it's really about the growth of that business.
Sure.
And but there's also been a lot of wasted money
Oh
as well.
yes.
And so I feel founders with their companies, you need to prove the model, so that that when you put a dollar in, you're going to get $10 back. So
Yeah.
understanding all the processes of how you generate a sale and how you deliver upon your product and service, and that has to be consistent. And that's why, like, processes, repeatable process is really important, and understanding where in the process where that's breaking down, and then once you get that little engine going, and it's repeatable, consistent, then you can go to investors and say, hey, I know if I was to put $1 million, $2 million into this, I'm going to get this result at the end, and being able to prove it with the processes that you're implementing. So, and I think if you can't do that, you should not really be using investors' money to experiment on sales and marketing when you haven't proven it yourself. So I think that's the first step for many founders, and also for investors as well, so that they don't get caught up with the hype, because at the moment there's a lot of hype with AI.
Sure.
So it's understanding, well, what is the business? Are they generating a repeatable, consistent result, and how solid is that? So so that's my 2 cents in regards to that.
I think that's really good. And if you haven't documented the process, if you don't really understand what those are, it's a lot more difficult to find the bottlenecks in that. If you're not really sure what happens, if it's all a black box, and the stuff goes in, stuff comes out, and you sort of kind of know what's inside there, it's really difficult to diagnose where things are breaking down.
Absolutely. And for many founders, they actually don't know what the black box is. So that
True.
I mean, it's their process, their way of doing things, and they're just randomly doing things, and then the team are implementing activities by the seat of their pants. Then you're not going to get that repeatable, consistent result that a good business produces. So that's it's absolutely critical to understand your processes, so that you can detect at which point in the process where it's broken down, so you can make improvements, and then and then create the results that you want.
Yeah. Well, I love bootstrap companies, bootstrap founders, just that the mindset and that the grit it takes to do that. How has that affected the product development over time, and staying really connected to your market so that you're delivering what your clients want?
Yes. So for us, way we do is most of our funding and our profits go back into generating a good product. So we're continually developing and adding new features, and it's also about having a close relationship with your customers. So it's actually having conversations. Sometimes that can be challenging as well, because sometimes customers don't want to talk to you.
Sure.
and you want to go, hang on, I'm producing this amazing product for you. I want to make your life better. And they don't want to talk to you. And so but you got to keep trying, because I think by building that relationship with your customer base, then they're less likely to churn. They're going to be more forgiving when you're not perfect. And for us, we always want to know what our customers want within Way We Do, and what features and what supports they need. So we're always listening. We have a register of all of the features that our customers have requested. We have data against those in terms of the number of people that have requested that. And then within our team, twice a year, we then decide, well, what features are we going to focus upon next for that next 6-month period. It can change because sometimes something more important comes into the mix, or there's a new trend that's happening, like particularly with AI, and then customers start asking for a number of like other features. So you have to be. For us at least, we're just really focusing on building a great product, and then we've got sales and marketing as well. But if we had funding, actually not even without funding. So I think, we're doing what we can from a sales and marketing perspective.
Sure.
So, and then again, just use those revenues to put back into the product, and then some for the sales and marketing as well.
That's great. And you've mentioned AI a few times. What do you think the future of that looks like, and the potential impact on SaaS companies?
That is an excellent question. I don't fully, like the most of us, I don't think we all have the answers.
Sure.
So you've got Sam Altman saying within the next 2 or 3 years we're going to have AGI. We've got the guy from Google saying it's going to be 10 years, and it's going to be somewhere in between that. I think the nature of our work will change. So there's a whole question around web, software engineers and developers. Is that role going to exist? I think yes. I think it still will, but it'll just be faster, and therefore. I think customers' expectations will change. That we need to be able to produce things that are really top notch, and that we're able to deliver really quickly and so AI can help us to do that. At this point in time, we know that AI is not perfect. It's not always consistent in the way that it generates results.
Sure.
People are still learning how to use it. So I don't fully know I've been asking myself the same question. It's also the nature of, if it's not just SaaS businesses, it's also like jobs. If people are not in jobs, then the need for software, because software is really an interface for people to use.
Yes.
And if people are not in jobs, like B2B software, if people are not in jobs, then the need for B2B software is not as great. So I don't know. So I think the nature of our SaaS software will change. I think the AI will become part of the team, and there'll be, all SaaS products will have AI integrated in it. Even companies today that say that they're an AI first business, the interface is still a SaaS experience. So I don't think it's going to go away, but I think there's an area that the majority of us don't know. We don't have a crystal ball, and just from my experience of working in the industry, from the mid 90s. Things they don't always go to the way that people say it will happen. So back in the mid 90s, at that point, everything, as the internet landscape was being developed, everything was meant to get easier and faster, and we don't have to work as hard, but the opposite has occurred. So we're busier than ever before. So I don't know. Who knows? So I think we just need to play it, have an eye on what's happening over the next 12 months to 2 years, maybe 3 years. But 10 years out, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a world of where half the world don't have jobs, or we're just adopting AI into the work that we do. So I think it's just being nimble and having a backup plan of what you will do, I guess. So it's having that contingency plan in place.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Jeff?
AI will do all the real work, and we'll all go back to farming.
Great.
I have no idea. But I've never seen technology move as fast as it has in the last 2 years. And I've seen so much innovation happen, but nothing like the acceleration in the last couple of years. And so I'm pretty excited about it.
Yes.
What's coming in the next steps, and I think where some applications are kind of at a superficial level. It's sort of in there, or somebody builds an AI and then goes and looking for a use case for it.
Yes.
Where I've seen the greatest success is really building something to solve a real problem now, or take something that is manual and make it where it's automated, add some intelligence to it. Development is a good example of that. Code review, looking, code testing, things like
Yes.
that. Things that are repetitive, the code libraries. I mean, there's so many things that it can really help and accelerate. But I think we're just scratching the surface of some of those use cases, and but I love the deeper use cases, instead of hey, I built this cool AI. What can it do? We're trying to figure that out.
Yes,
So
and I think that has been the issue with I guess the innovation space over the last 20 years, is that you always have a cohort of people that are racing to create the latest, greatest thing without understanding the problem that they're solving.
Yes.
So if we use that time and energy to focus on real problems, what an amazing world we would have. And
Yeah.
so I think that's the opportunities to find the problems, as you said, to focus upon and create a solution to that, no matter what technology you use.
Yeah. So good. Well, where can people learn more about you and about Way We Do online?
So you can go to our website at waywedo.com. We also are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, and YouTube. So we do have some content available there. But otherwise, go to our website at waywedo.com.
Excellent. We'll make sure and link that in the show notes. And if you're looking for a process solution, and every company needs one, then Way We Do is one you should definitely take a look at.
Thank you
Outstanding
so much,
product.
Jeff.
And again, love that you're bootstrapped and the journey and what you guys are building, because it really is very customer focused. Not trying to please investors, but it really is about keeping customers happy and building great things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Jeff, for your time today. Good to
Thank
see you
you.
again.
Thanks for being on SaaS Fuel.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks again, Jacqui, for coming on the show and sharing your journey and insights. Huge respect for Jacqui and what she and the team have built over at Way We Do. They're a world-class company. Well-documented processes is an elusive project for so many companies. It's not my strength at all. And for those that do create those, it's really hard to keep them updated. And Way We Do solves all of that. And having processes really dialed in is a key way to increase valuations. I mean, it's a really big deal, and it's hard to do, and they make it easy. Well, you can learn more about Jacqui and Way We Do at waywedo.com. As always, all links, highlights, resources, and full show notes are available at saasfuel.com. And be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. Full episodes, shorts, training, outtakes, lots of stuff out there for you. And that is at Champion Leadership on YouTube. Thought leaders share, and I'll bet you that's you. Share this episode with someone who wants to increase their enterprise value. They'll appreciate it, and who knows, maybe even raise their multiple because of your thoughtfulness. Everyone who shares this week gets a Wi-Fi turkey timer. It connects your bird to your router and pings you the second your turkey's done. No more guessing, just perfectly cooked turkey and uninterrupted Netflix and marathons. What if the key to overcoming challenges lies in gratitude and asking the right questions? Join us for a special Thanksgiving Day episode where my guest is Elliot Connie, renowned psychotherapist and author. He will share how to transform your mindset during the holidays and beyond, build resilience, and unlock personal and professional growth far beyond what you can imagine today. And how do you stand out in a world flooded with AI-generated content? Well, join us next Tuesday as John Gillum, founder and CEO of Originality.ai, reveals the strategies behind maintaining originality and quality in the age of generative AI, and how to make your brand stand out strong in the new future of content marketing. I'll see you next time, and as always, happy Thanksgiving, y'all, and enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to SaaS Fuel. Full show notes for each episode, which includes a summary, key takeaways, quotes, and any resources mentioned, are available at saasfuel.com. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're enjoying the content and getting value from these episodes, please leave us a rating and review at ratethispodcast.com/SaaSFuel. We'll be sure to read these out on future episodes.